Hi, my dear Astro family. So today we are going to be talking about the Pisces full moon lunation, which is going to be taking place on the 9th or 10th of September, depending on where you are. And it's going to be on 17 degree of Pisces. So firstly, I would like you to check if you have got any planet, especially around 17 degree of Virgo or 17 degree of Pisces. But also it can indicate or it can bring in some energies for you if you have got something on the Gemini or Sagittarius axis as well. So that's going to be our topic today. I'm going to give you a general view of how to go about the Pisces full moon, what you need to be paying attention to. I'm also going to be talking to you about some of the constellation which we see on the sky, such as we are having a Jupiter, which is the dispositor of this full moon, in conjunction to a asteroid called Salacia. Then we see that Sun is in conjunction to Orcus. So we want to be talking about that. Uranus actually sextiles the moon and trines the sun. So we want to be touching base on that too. So we've got loads of things to cover here. Now we have got few days left from my promotion. So if you would like to book in your readings with me, maybe for the year ahead, then I've got openings or early in October. So you might want to check that out. And also almost all my courses and webinars are on 40% discount. So you might want to check that. Now, full moon in Pisces on 17 degree. This is what we call as the harvest full moon. Of course, the harvest full moon is always the first full moon of September, when actually we're going to start, doing the harvesting, really. So what is the Pisces lunation about? So a full moon is always an opposition between the sun and moon. What it really indicates is not like with the new moon where the energies are integrated of the two planets. Here we have got kind of like a clashing energy between them two. So Sun in Virgo would like something different, and Moon in Pisces also wants something different too. And how are we going to be actually merging those? Overall, the Pisces lunation is always about a spiritual completion, coming to an end of something, kind of like leaving the past behind, going through a spiritual evolution, if you like it. It is about forgiving others, forgiving yourself, and maybe forgetting about the past as well, so that we can move on and we can be ready for the future. It's about how we connect to the universe. It's about healing as well. So something, a part of ourselves needs to be healed, but maybe in a spiritual way and not so much in a practical way. Because Sun is in the sign of Virgo, which is about practicality, which is about healing, which is about, let's say, going to the doctor. But the Pisces full moon is really much about, you know what, we're going to have to do that healing. Firstly, kind of like on a mental plane, if you like it. And then once we are healed, mentally, then we can start focusing on our physical body as well. And the two of them are in correlation. And this is what that moon in Pisces really kind of inviting us to do. Also, uh, Pisces full moon is about realization of your dreams. What are my dreams? What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? When we think about that Sun in Virgo, which is very methodical, it wants to kind of clean up the mess. It wants to be kind of productive. It wants to be working 24/7. However, Moon in the sign of Pisces wants to rest, wants to take care of the body. It wants to reflect. It's a little bit like a retrograde period. And we should not forget that we do have got 5 planets, and the 6th one is about to go retrograde. There is loads of indication here about reflection. I tend to call Moon in Pisces like the energy of kind of like the mirror of the ocean, right? So we look into it, we might be seeing a distorted version of ourselves, but when the water is clear, so when we are aware of our emotional, kind of like mechanism, then we get a clearer picture of who we are, where should we head, and so forth. So we need to find the balance of how much we have got on our to-do list, but also how much rest the body kind of needs. And because Moon in Pisces is very much about intuition and listening to your gut feelings, kind of like listening to the music around you, you're going to have to listen to your body. What does the body want from us? Now, obviously, Pisces is represented by the fish, right? So the fish goes with the flow, but also Pisces really much kind of depicts that one foot is in the physical and the material world, and the other one is kind of like in the water. So that's where we're going to have to find balance. How much time do I spend in the water, and how much time do I spend on dry lands? For me, Pisces full moon is always about the evolution of the soul. We're gonna have to heal the soul. We're gonna have to do things which is gonna be actually improving that soul mission. Now, as you can see, this full moon is ruled by Jupiter, or if you use the modern rulers, it is ruled by Neptune. And Jupiter is being witnessed by Chiron here. I mean, Jupiter is the dispositor of this full moon, but as well as we've got Chiron witnessing it. So there is something to do with, okay, why am I not courageous about closing a chapter in my life? Now, as I mentioned before, this full moon is falling on the 17 degree 41 minutes of Pisces, which is actually Libra dwat. So when I combine the Pisces and the Libra, we've got a little bit of a challenge there. I'm not gonna lie, because these two signs don't necessarily get along too much. It has got its own challenges. And the challenges is that how to make a connection, how to be in peace with ourselves, with the world, and with the universe, as well as with others around us. Am I kind of like trying to follow the herd, or or do they follow me? Do I do things that other wants me to, or actually I do follow my own dreams? So this Pisces full moon is very spiritual, very creative. It is artistic endeavors. It is inviting you to be creative about something. Like every single sign, Pisces has got its positive as well as negative signs too. I mean, negative meanings too. And the negative meanings are really much connected to trying to alter your mind by different type of substances, or I'm trying to run away from responsibilities, or I'm trying to use drugs, and or kind of like numbing the pain. So the question is, in what ways are you trying to numb your pain? Is that the right way to do, or do we actually have to face that pain and find a solution for it? So the Pisces full moon invites you to meditate. It actually invites you to alter your mind as well, but in the right way. Um, Also, what I'm seeing here is that this Pisces full moon is actually in a conjunction to Neptune. They are 7 degrees apart, but we can call it already as a conjunction. And if you looked at the symbol on card, actually, then it would be the sleeping beauty being in a coffin, and there is a hand coming down from the sky trying to offer help, but she is sleeping. So this Pisces full moon surely on one hand tells you, especially by Jupiter being in the sign of Aries, which is about initiating something, being courageous, that wake up, you know, you've been sleeping for a very long time. And we're going to have to take actions around all these dysfunctional attachments, what we have. But it also tells you that you have got great psychic abilities, and you're going to have to tap into your intuitions a lot more. It could talk about actually that some secrets will come to light, because Neptune or the Piscean element is really about how we are deceived, how we are lying to ourselves, so that we don't need to face reality overall, or how we allow others to betray us. Sometimes, actually, the moon, Neptune, as well as the Piscean energy talks about unfinished business. So, how am I going to actually finishing up something around me? And maybe I need a healer. Maybe I need touch therapy. Maybe I just need a great cuddle. Maybe I need to go to a spiritual church. Maybe, oh, And then Moon and Neptune and that Piscean energy is about the path of the devotion. So what do I want to be devoted to? What really matters to me? This full moon, especially from a relationship point of view, it can really indicate some love drama. We might feel deceived by our partner. We might feel that the partner or the partner's feelings are dishonest. So it's the aspect of insincerity, emotional instability. So we're gonna have to, and also it could talk about guilt. We feel guilty because others are suffering. We feel guilty because maybe I can afford something in my life and others cannot. The Piscean full moon with this Neptunian indication is always about yearning for something. Whether we are yearning for an ideal home or an ideal world or peace, or we just want to be assured that we are loved and we have got kind of like a sacred mission, but yearning for something, always something for more what we have at the moment. It could also talk about that, we can get a helping hand. And that was the image which I was actually describing to you. And because it's about manifestation, if you are wishing for something, it can be granted, but you must take action. Jupiter in the sign of Aries. And not to become the victim of others, not to be at the mercy of others. You don't always have to save everyone. You don't always have to take in everyone's suffering around you. You might actually feel like that life is doomed around you. And maybe that's the negative mentality which you're gonna have to kind of clear out and somehow end. All these Piscean energies always a hunger for nourishment, caring and comfort. It's very hard with these energies to satisfy the needs. So the more I give to others, the more they are craving for. The more I receive, the more I crave for also. So you should know, where there is kind of like a borderline where we're gonna, have to be knowing that maybe we're functioning in that way. So are you trying to hide away? Maybe actually it can talk about that the medical fields are going to be a hot spot in the next 7 weeks. And I'm going to explain to you why 7 weeks. Actually, let me explain to you now. Because the Moon and Neptune conjunction is taking place within about 12 hours from the new moon, 10 to 12 hours. So actually, it could talk about that on the 9th or the 10th of September, you receive some insights, or you should be planting some seeds here, or you should claim the reward from a previous kind of like planting. But also because they are 7 degrees apart, it could show 7 days and 7 weeks as well. And maybe some truth or ideal matters or dysfunctional matters are going to get spotlighted. The fact that we've got loads of mutable energy here, it really indicates that our mind is on override. Mars is in the sign of Gemini, Venus is in the sign of Virgo with the Sun. We've got this Piscean energy. So we've got quite loads of mutable stuff, 5 planets in mutable signs, which is always representing the mind. It's about curiosity, it's about information. So we're going to have to look at the information right ahead of us or in front of us. And we're going to have to kind of listen to our gut feelings, whether I'm going to get into, let's say, a debate about it. Is that true or is that kind of like a fake news, really? Also, this combination is about psychic sponge or emotional turmoil. So whatever is going on outside, it can really affect your emotional well-being. But there is a need to absorb something from the reality, and there are things which needs to be disposed. Having so many mutable energy, we can really feel scattered. So there is a need to organize our thoughts too, surely. Now, the fact that this Uranus is actually sextiling the moon, and we have got this trine to the sun, quite tight, actually, because Uranus is still sitting around 18 degree. It is really much about being open-minded about something. It is very much about looking at things, something which is speaking in your life from a fresh perspective. It's about being innovative about something. Maybe in the mundane world, Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. Maybe they're going to come up with some fresh approach to some of the financial and economic type of crisis in certain countries. Maybe actually it could talk about food-related matters because Taurus does rule livestock as well as something to do with grains. So maybe something, an unpredictable event is going to be happening and everyone is going to talk about that. Uranus and the moon sun energy, it could actually talk about it. I'm craving to be somewhere else. So all of a sudden, I grab my backpack, which is the moon, and then I just leave overall. It could talk about things such as, you know what, I don't care about being rejected anymore. Or it could talk about trying to break the family pattern because you might be the pink sheep of the family. And I've got the courage for it this time around. And I'm going to cut ties with that family drama, what is kind of going on. And by the way, it could also cause some type of scandal in the family, which comes unexpectedly. So that's also possible. But what Uranus and the moon definitely talks about is that I need space. And that's why we must retreat a little bit. I might take a weekend off, and then on Monday I go with full fling when it comes to my responsibility, but I should do so. It could also indicate to us that we are overly sensitive. We take things to heart very easily, and we need to be careful with that. Someone might not be accepting your opinion and then you feel rejected about it. You might want to offer emotional support to someone, but they run away and you don't necessarily understand what is going on. By the way, it could also talk about that I want to be spending money because I feel better, kind of like being a shopaholic overall. So, but definitely it gives a greater capacity to understand other people's feelings. Definitely, we don't want to be condemned by society rules. And there is a craving for independence, doing something on your own too. Also, Sun is in conjunction to Orcus. Orcus is almost on 14 degree, as you can see on the chart. So we have got approximately about a 3.5, 4 degree orb going on here. And I did make a video about Orcas before because I'm always kind of fascinated by Orcas. So if you are interested about that, then check that out on my YouTube channel. I think at least it's a 25 minutes. And I really talk to you about how Orcus and Pluto are connected. Because Orcus is the solution to your Plutonian problems. Orcus, on one hand, is definitely about self-integrity. On the other hand, it is talking about why we are imprisoned and how to make ourselves feel free again. But it talks about contracts, intentions, promises, oath. And, maybe it's about someone made you a promise that they're going to help you, I don't know, digging up the garden, and they break the promise. Well, Orcus doesn't like that. And then all of a sudden, it's about, go to prison, go to hell type of situation. So who is trying to break promises around you? Who do you kind of feel betrayed by? Because, you might have wanted to go on a date and then, the guy doesn't show up. Or you might have been promised by the family members that they would come around for dinner. You bought all this food and stuff like that, and they cancel in the last minute. So Orcus represents something to do with kind of like endings, to a certain extent, death or changes around us, a little bit of a crisis situation. but also it talks about approaching things from kind of like a joke point of view as well, making fun of something overall. So Orcus was the punisher of the broken oath in Roman mythology. And and he is always kind of betrayed, or sorry, portrayed, that's the right word here, as a hairy birded giant. So he looks rough on the outer side, but actually he is a very gentle soul inside. By the way, it's a Plutonian planet, a Plutino, basically. So it connects to Pluto, but it's the counterpart of Pluto. So it really talks to you about how to solve Plutonian issues in your life. As I mentioned, I did make a intense video about that, so you might want to check that out because it's gonna give you loads of things to think about. Also, what you see here is that Moon is actually in conjunction to Nessus, and also there is Juno there. So Juno for me is always about the sacred commission. Today I'm using words which I don't want to use. The sacred mission in our life. It's about contractual agreements. And Nessus is about abuse. Nessus is about being betrayed, being lied to. That's the asteroid of abuser. So it represents areas of life where you have been abused by somehow. Actually, it can talk about rape. It could talk about abuse, which can be physical, mental, and emotional, verbal, overall. So in what ways are you abused? That could be the question here. By the way, it talks about sexual desire or just the endless desire, but also it talks about wanting to take revenge. This is the asteroid of guilt and giving power away to others. By the way, Nessus was a ferryman who fled his homeland after there was a war happening, and he tried to cross the ocean. And then Heracles, or also known as Hercules, and Deianira, they were actually married, and Nessus was hired to kind of help them to get Deianira to cross the river also. But what happened was that actually he got betrayed by them. He wasn't paid for the work, and also he was accused to abduct her. So basically, Hercules killed him with a poisoned arrow. So that's the story behind. However, also you should know that that Deianira also got to know by Nessus that Hercules fell in love with a young princess, and she wanted to take revenge on her husband. That's the reason why Nessus kind of got killed. So it also can represent infidelity, insecurity, jealousy, and also the fear of kind of being abandoned. So these topics are very enhanced with this chart for plenty of you. And of course, that the fact that Juno is there, so on a mundane level, this is kind of talking to me about the possibility of, let's say, having kind of like a formation or contractual agreement between two countries, but someone is actually kind of breaking the oath. They are saying something and then they do the complete opposites. And then we feel that we were used. We feel that we were kind of betrayed. We were offered a help and actually it's not happening. So that's also a possibility here. And the last aspect which you see here is that Jupiter is in conjunction to Salacia. Now, Salacia, I don't think I've ever actually spoken about Salacia, but Salacia, if you want to check that up, then its astrological number is 120347. This talks about it talks about the removal of the barriers to your own happiness. It is the love of words, and I find it very interesting because Jupiter is in the sign of Aries, but it's on Gemini watch. So something to do with the words, how we create the words, how we express something to others actually can remove barrier this time around. Salacia talks about poetry. It talks about romanticism. It talks about humanity and humanitarian causes, idealism. It is about gentleness. So we do need to use gentle words. The Aries doesn't work this time around, that I'm just gonna not sugarcoat and throw something out there. But it talks about emotional power to get in touch with your emotional, strength overall. It's about being emotionally charged. So how are you gonna charge yourself up? It talks about strength. It talks about popularity even. So loads of meaning to Salacia, loads of actually Piscean meanings, really. Okay, so well, by the way, Salacia was the female divinity of the sea. In ancient Roman mythology, Salacia was the female kind of goddess of the sea. She was worshipped. She was kind of like the ruler of the salt water, and she was always at the bottom of the ocean. And by the way, she was the wife of Neptune, who is of course the god of the sea and water overall. So we associate Salacia with kind of like prosperity, the unseen forces, because it's always at the bottom of the ocean, but it's also the support he gives to the king to like a good wife kind of wants to do that. That's pretty much what Salacia really kind of represents. So very spiritual moon or full moon. Loads of release to do here. I think loads of kind of like compassionate love, which needs to be practiced towards you. I kind of feel like, a butterfly image comes to my mind, even though butterfly is a Plutonian energy, but with that Piscean energy, which looks beautiful and it starts ugly. There was this advertisement a very long time ago. It was in my childhood, and they were advertising this chocolate bar of chocolate, which really looks rough. So the motto around it was in Hungarian that it looks bad, but it tastes delicious. And this is kind of like the image what comes to my mind around it. So this is my view on the upcoming full moon energy. So I hope you loved this video, and if you did, please share some love, press like, subscribe to the channel, and maybe you can share this with others as well, especially if they want to learn astrology, because I love my videos to be educational. Thank you, everyone, and see you soon. Bye-bye.